welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be reacting to one of the early uploads in the YouTube channel, the Game Theorists. I'm a huge fan of their work, and yeah, I hope that you enjoy their videos as well. If you like this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel, and comment down below if you have anything to share. Thank you.
Fanboys and fangirls unite because we're bearing the naked truth behind video gaming's most famous murder. Hello Internet, welcome to
Hello.
Game Theory, the show where our favorite limit break is Mind Blow. Final Fantasy VII, one, if not the, most loved and reviled games of all time. A game so defended by fans and so attacked by haters that no reviewer dare touch it. But here, we don't look at good and bad. We look at truth. And often, that truth is more shocking than Aerith's death halfway through this game. Oh, should I have put up a spoiler alert? Too bad! Get out from under your rock. But this rather well-devised segue brings me to my main point. Have I really spoiled anything? Based on her wounds, should Aerith have died? In fact, does she die at all? This week we're looking at the anatomy of a murder that has rocked the gaming world since 1997.
That was cool, the baby with the guitar.
And I guarantee the truth will shatter what you thought you knew about this unforgettable and heartbreaking moment in gaming history. Let's start by setting the scene. Aerith, innocent flower girl from the slums of Midgar, is found alone, praying for the protection of the planet. Chances are, if you're not a teenage boy fascinated by PlayStation-era jiggle physics, Aerith is your female character of choice. Her vigil, however, gets a rude interruption when Sephiroth, the heartthrob of game villains, rams his impossibly long sword through her torso. Insert your own joke here. Fast forward to her slumping over, Sephi dislodging his massive weapon, Aerith losing her magic marble, RPG fans the world over weeping sad, bitter tears, touching water burial, and cosplayers around the world erecting shrines to their fallen heroine. Sorry, got a little choked up. Pardon my big, manly tears.
Big manly tears. Come on, this is. Oh, come on.
Anyway, that concludes your tutorial. But what really happened? Let's rewind. First, the actual stabbing. Viewers affectionate towards fictional women may want to look away. Notice the magical brown belt that just appears out of nowhere halfway through this scene? Ha! Not only is this a glaring and embarrassing graphical oversight for Square, it gives us a great guide to where the sword is going. Here, we see that it's a straight shot right through, from the middle of her back to the middle of her front. Superimposing a skeleton onto her body, we see that the sword is penetrating right below her sternum, the central bone of the rib cage. So it's definitely going through her abdomen in the front, and piercing her vertebral column, and thus her spinal cord in the back. Listening to the scene backs this story up. If I know my sounds of horrific death, and I most certainly do, these are the dulcet tones of steel scraping on bone. Looking at another diagram, we see that the sword is too low to hit the heart and lungs, but the liver, stomach, and perhaps the intestines might suffer some damage. And with one final diagram, we see that the inferior vena cava and the descending aorta both follow the path of the spine, and are thus targets for the sword.
No! No, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. What if the person miss and hits you instead? You shouldn't do that.
Overall, I feel confident in saying that this would be a serious injury. Death would seem certain. But look again, my CSIs in training. What's missing? I'll give you a second. Dear viewer, I ask you, where's the blood? There isn't a drop to be found anywhere. And before you rush off to the comments saying, oh, they didn't want to make the game too graphic, they clearly use blood elsewhere in the game. First, smeared across the walls when Sephiroth slaughters everyone at the Shinra headquarters, and, more noticeably, when you finally defeat the white-haired weirdo. But Aerith shows no injury. How can this be? Well, miraculously, it's been done before, and all joking aside, if you're squeamish, you might want to look away for this part.
Okay, so viewer discretion is advised. Warning, viewer discretion is advised. Let's go.
In 1947, Time magazine reported on a Dutchman named Mirin Dajo, a man who claimed to be invulnerable. He dumbfounded medical experts at the time by piercing his body with swords, spears, and various blades without causing himself any internal injuries or bleeding. There were also reports of him surviving boiling water, burning irons, and being shot in the head. It's said that he learned his methods from ancient religious holy men named fakirs. Wait, an ancient and mystical people? Did I mention that Aerith is a Cetra, an ancient, a deeply spiritual people with mystical abilities? Seems like a mighty important detail to have mentioned right now.
So okay, so apparently it's true. You can do that. You just have to avoid piercing any blood vessels, any important organs, and yeah, if you go here, these parts, you can sort of luckily escape it unscathed if it doesn't burst any blood vessels. If you go through here, you are going to hit blood. You're going to hit blood. Alright, if you go through here, you're going to hit blood. And if blood loss, you will die. Yeah.
Alright, so say that through part miracle and part mysticism, there is no bleeding or organ damage. Why does she collapse? Well, you can't get around the fact that the sword severed her spine. I mean, no case of scoliosis is that bad, and we even heard it. Let's look at one last diagram. The spine is divided into 4 sections based on its location in the body. Cervical for the head and neck, thoracic for the chest and stomach, lumbar for the lower back, and sacral for around your pelvis. Because the spine is the highway of information from your brain to the rest of your body, injuring it is like causing a bad car wreck, ceasing traffic further down the road. Based on the sword's position, it looks like it pierces through the T7 vertebrae, or the 7th bone down in the thoracic section. An injury to this part of the spine not only destroys your ability to move your legs, but it would also prevent you from controlling your abdominal muscles. In other words, you wouldn't be able to hold yourself up. You would just slump over, like a rag doll, or a corpse. However, Aerith would still have control over her arms and head, so why wouldn't she move for the rest of the scene? Spinal injuries can result in extreme dilation of the blood vessels, meaning that not enough blood would make it to the cells, resulting in shock and eventually knocking her unconscious. What I'm saying is this.
Oh my gosh, don't tell me that she didn't die after being pierced by the sword, but then she was drowned. I'm just speculating because I have not watched this video yet. Alright, just saying.
Stabbing, slumping over, and closing your eyes doesn't necessarily mean that she was dead. In fact, no blood, loss of abdominal control from a spinal injury, and unconsciousness due to shock means that
Come on.
Aerith could easily have been alive when she was set adrift. You mean that Aerith could still be alive? I understand if you need further proof, so let's look at one last nail in Aerith's non-existent coffin. During her sentimental burial, she sure does sink like a stone, doesn't she? Funny, considering that dead bodies tend to float for a while as oxygen is trapped in their lungs. Eventually, they do sink when the air in their lungs is replaced with water seeping into their system. Live bodies, however, have a harder time staying afloat because of the tension in their muscles and the fluctuations of oxygen in their system. Aerith's lack of buoyancy would hint at her still being alive. Why not swim to save herself then? Don't forget that she'd still be suffering from a bad case of unconsciousness mixed with an unhealthy dose of paralysis. Wait, so Aerith might still be alive? Let's look at the whole tragic scene play out once again. Sephiroth impales Aerith, paralyzing her from the chest down. Miraculously, all vital organs and blood vessels are spared as not a drop of blood is spilled. However, with an injured spinal cord, Aerith collapses as she can no longer support herself upright. The scare sends her into shock and she passes out, unconscious. Cloud, not the brightest clone of the bunch, assumes she's dead and sets her to drift, and her still living body rapidly sinks. Wait. A living body, underwater and unable to swim? Then that means... yes, it's even worse than we thought. To put it bluntly, it's very possible that the true murderer wasn't Sephiroth on the altar with the sword. Instead, Aerith may have unintentionally drowned when Cloud set her unconscious body in the water. In a sense, she was buried alive. And that, my friends, puts an even crueler twist on the most shocking, painful, and heart-wrenching scene in gamedom. Aerith, everyone agrees that you left us too soon, and we, as gamers, were forced to comfort ourselves in the large, warm cushions of Tifa's chest. Or was that just me? Anyway, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Come on, at the end of it, the other theory, the other tragic way. Former pre-teen fascinated with Tifa assets. Serious FF7 diehard and Aerith love. Alright, that's the end of the video. Wow. Come on, it was building up to such a climatic darkness and sadness. And you just have to make a joke about it.